See you guys get set first. Oh, good. All right, we'll take questions for Coach Holgorsen. Go ahead.
All right, which one of you two want first? Come on.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Well, Dave, how'd the bye week go for you guys in terms of stuff that you were able to do, or was it mostly about being healthy?
Mostly about getting healthy. We're not going to develop a new offense at this point in the year. You get to game 10 or whatever, you kind of are who you are. I'm just hoping not to lose any more. We lose any more bodies, we're not going to be able to line up. So hopefully we'll get some guys back and healthy and 100%. We played way too many guys at Central Florida that were not 100%. We're pretty handcuffed with the amount of people we have, and then when you put guys out there that aren't quite ready to play, it's a problem. So, and that's what happened against Central Florida. We ran out of gas. I mean, I thought we played well in the first half. I thought we should have been up by about 10. We were up by 2, and we were pretty cooked. Just because they had a lot more depth than we did. So hopefully we'll get some guys healthy. I mean, we'll see how it goes out there today. I hadn't seen them since Thursday. They lifted Friday morning. I gave them Friday afternoon, Saturday, Sunday off. I think there's a mental fatigue aspect of what we've been going through as well. It's pretty taxing when you're competitive. You're handcuffed. You're limited, but you're competitive, and you just come up short against ranked opponents. It mentally kind of wears you out too. So hopefully the bye week and the weekend got everybody in a good place, and we'll be able to finish the season strong.
The guys that were out for Central Florida, maybe like Patrick Carr, is there anything you want from the camp?
Yeah, and I can't remember who's out and who's not. There's daggum many of them. I don't know. I mean, I hope Patrick can play. I mean, he's got his shoulder. He's going to be in a green jersey today. I just got that information, but hopefully we'll get him back.
You may choose to take a pass on that, but Clayton Tune in the last game, he seemed a little gimpy at times. Was there a re-agitation there, just a little sore still? It's not quite going to be 100% all year.
He kind of tweaked his knee just a little bit, but his hamstring was fine, so I don't think he's running as well as he did. I think the bye week's going to really do him some good. He did kind of tweak his knee just a little bit, but I didn't think he was restricted at all in the game.
Also, it's the time of year a lot of teams can play spoilers. I don't know, is that more of a fan's way of thinking, or is that something you guys take the position of and talking to your team, that you potential to go in and play spoiler for a team like Memphis this week?
Well, we've been underdogs in almost every game we've played this year. So not that I really pay attention to that too much, but we have been underdogs in almost every game, and we're underdogs again. So, I guess I'm not doing a very good job of playing that up and explaining to the guys how much fun it'd be to knock off a top 20 team. We've played 4 of them and came close. This is the 5th. Got another one on the horizon. The most ranked teams I've ever played is 5. I think the most that's been here is 5.
6. One time.
Most that's been here is 6. So is what it is. The schedule did not set up very well for us this year. Hopefully that changes next year. I can assure you that I'm gonna do a lot of complaining in our meetings. I don't know if Pez is in here or not, but he's heard it from me a good bit. This schedule sucked, and we need to make sure that we're putting our guys in a favorable position moving forward. So I'm going to be complaining a lot and doing whatever I can do to make sure our schedule sets up better. There's going to be certain years where there's just nothing you can do about it. We play, this league is really tough, and this league is having a good year. We're going to continue to get better, and we're going to be one of those teams, next year and the next year and the years to come after that are going to be these teams that's having a good year. It just is what it is this year.
How relevant is y'all's recent history with Memphis, given how much the program has changed over the last year?
Yeah, there's been some good history between the two. Been playing each other for quite a while. When I was here the last time, they weren't very good, and Coach Norvell's done a heck of a job over the 4 years that he's been there. So, I know they got some pretty good resources. That FedEx situation there is pretty good. So they got good resources, but, they've had pretty good continuity over the last 4 years, and they've been winning. you know, and they do a good job of recruiting, and they do a good job of coaching them up. I know they spend a lot of money on facilities, and it's paying off for them.
Dana, back on scheduling, you inherited, scheduling, and I think you guys are pretty much set for at least the next 4 years. You have one spot, I think, that they moved around. What is your philosophy on what would you like to see in a schedule? Is it maybe, two like-minded, group of five types or power six and a good power five opponent, or how do you like to look at scheduling?
Well, and we've had a lot of conversations about this administratively. My big thing is whatever everybody else in the league is doing, that's what you should do, right? So, and I do think the American does a relatively good job of playing people that they need to play. With that said, the league is so dang good. We're talking top 20 teams here, and Memphis and SMU and Cincinnati and Central Florida and Navy and Tulane's knocking on the door. Obviously Houston's not going to be kept down long. It's a hard league, so if your non-conference schedule is loaded up, it makes it challenging. And I dealt with the same stuff previous place I was at. Every game in the Big 12 is hard, so you got to be careful about who your non-conference is. I realize that fan base wants to play some games that are pretty tough, but and that have name recognition and stuff. But we're in the American, and these are the teams that we're going to play, and we should get excited about a Houston-Memphis matchup and a Houston-SMU matchup, and Central Florida and Cincinnati, which we got to play again next year, but then they come off the schedule for a couple years, based on how that rotation works. So we got our hands full in this league, and we don't need to add top 20 teams in the 4 games that we have non-conference wise.
Speaking of Memphis, they're going to, I think in the next few months, the league's going to designate 2 schools that are like your permanent opponents that carry over each year. I think SMU and Memphis have been the most talked about in terms of sticking with Houston. Is that something you'd like just because of, one, the regional with SMU, and a lot of people seem to get pretty pumped up about when Memphis comes
I
to
think
town?
that'd be good for the fan base. I think would make sense to them. You could make an argument for Tulsa and Tulane too. Because they're pretty regional, and it wouldn't make sense if it was Navy. Wouldn't make sense if it was some of these. If it was one of the Florida schools, but just from a geography point of view and location, those teams make sense. To me, it really doesn't matter because they're all tough. They're all tough. Tulane is a good football team, and obviously we had our hands full when we went there. Tulsa, we're going to have our hands full next Saturday night. They just coming off a big win, play hard, and so it doesn't matter. Every game's going to be the same. So however they place it for whatever reasons they come up with, and we'll certainly deal with that.
Coach, can you just talk a little bit about how you're handling the season? It's not going as you thought, but you came in and had a lot to do, got hit with a bunch of injuries. Like, how are you doing with everything going on, or do you even have time to think about it? You're just trying to move on.
Just moving forward, man. Just moving forward. I've been very happy with coaches and players as far as putting their head down and playing. Nobody likes a losing season. We're not alone out there. I can assure you that. College football is competitive, and we're in a situation where things are just happening for a specific reason, but we're still competitive. We line up and we're getting better at football, and our schemes and our coaches and our players are going to remain relatively the same, and we'll use all these lessons as learning experiences and use it as motivation going into the off season. So I just put my head in coach.
These last few games, Jana, is this where you get some of the younger guys, maybe some of those freshman offensive linemen in?
Nobody wants to play freshman lineman ever in the history of football. Ever. Don't care where you're at. Nobody wants to play freshman. The fact that we're in that situation tells you a little bit about where we're at. So, yeah, we're probably going to play Patrick Paul. We're probably going to play Cam Johnson because we have nobody else. Chase Todd's a little underweight for a center right now, so that's a little bit more challenging. Don't forget Jack's a freshman. Dixie's never played. I mean, we're playing guys up front that's never played, and that's just the worst situation you can possibly be in, period. On a probably a more realistic level, okay, because what I just said right there is unrealistic, and to be successful in football. Terrell Brown will play a lot the next 3 weeks. He's physically ready to go. Manny Nunnery is another young kid that, you know, is going to be able to play a little bit. We won't get a ton of very good quality snaps out of these guys. They're young. They're not quite ready to play, but, you know, that's who we have to be able to play. Nelson Caesar's another guy. Other than that, we don't have a lot of freshmen on our team that can play because we had to load up with some transfers and stuff to get this roster right. Those are some of the freshmen we got, and they'll probably see a few snaps, yeah.
And this is the first time we had talked to you since Josh Jones accepted an invitation to Senior Bowl. Just the season that he's had, you know, you talk about the offensive line. He's been one of the constants in terms of being able to go out there each week.
Yeah, he has. He has. I've been really, really, really impressed with him, both how he approaches the game, how he practices, how his leadership skills are. I mean, he's a solid team captain. He just puts his head down and plays, you know, and you know, he's been improving each and every week as well. And you know, these last 4 or 5 games, he's kind of came into his own a little bit, and that doesn't go unnoticed. And I told him this stuff was coming if he just keeps doing that. You know, so you know, hopefully we get 3 more good games out of him, and he's got a bright future just because he's very durable, reliable. You know, he bends well. His pad level has improved. His pass blocking's been real good. Athletic, got a bright future.
Just a quick touch on Nunnery. You guys are using him in safety. Is that where he's playing at, and do you guys see him staying there? Do you see
He
him
hasn't
growing
played
into-
any defense. I mean, he's not quite ready for that, but he'll run down on kickoff and punt a little bit. I mean, our special teams are made up with players that are like, 22 through 42, right? That's where you get the majority of your special team snaps, and when your second and third team guys are moving into the starting rotation on offense and defense, who are going to take those snaps? So somebody's got to take those snaps, and that's where you get some out of Caesar and you get some out of Nunnery and whoever else can line up and play.
Coach. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.